Have you ever wondered what it's like to go on Crusade? Well, wonder no more. I'd like to give a special shout out to my new top tier wizard master patron, Sarah. Thank you so much. Hey everyone, welcome back to Andrew's Wizard that Reads, and as always guys, I am Andrew, and today guys, I have got another book review for you, but before we get into that book review, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel, as it does help the channel grow. And today guys, we are talking about Godfrey's Crusade by Mark Howard, Griffin Legends #1. And guys, I really enjoyed this book. And essentially what this is this is an Arthurian style tale. And what I mean by that is it takes a lot of those kind of beats and themes from classical Arthurian tales of like knights going on quests and then having chance encounters and getting like special gifts or powers or great steeds and stuff like that so that they can go out and perform great tasks. And essentially that's kind of what this is. And yeah, so Godfrey, when we first meet him, you know, we've got Godfrey here on the cover, which, by the way, fantastic cover. I don't know who the cover artist is, but they use my favorite color scheme, blue, black, with just a splash of white. Fantastic. Anyway, when we first meet Godfrey, he is squiring for his cousin. And Godfrey is the son of the Duke of Bastigon. So he is Godfrey de Bastigon. I believe I've pronounced that horribly wrong, but we're going to go forward. And essentially the way this works is when you're squiring, you do your years of service, you get taught how to fight, you get taught how to tend armor and things of that nature until you've put in your time. And I think here we're talking about 8 to 10 years for Godfrey. And then you were given a specific quest, which a quest does fall into Godfrey's lap. And when you go do this quest can be anywhere from hunting goblins to killing vampires to killing other types of undead. It is a perilous quest that requires somebody of note to go do. Now, squires do have a high mortality rate, so that is something to keep in mind when accepting a quest. However, a quest does fall into Godfrey's lap. He takes this up and he completes it. So, in completing that quest, he then goes home to his parents, and in order to get knighted, you go home and you get knighted by your lord in this case, because he's the son of a duke. It would be his father, and in doing so, things kind of go sideways. Basically, there are some rabble-rousers out in the clan lands, and essentially the clans are these warring people. They've been disjointed for years, and then one of the warlords decides to seize power. He and his wife Alvir, Alvir and his wife Nira go out and they commit some assassinations and they seize power of the clan lands, uniting them and making them a threat again, which then triggers the call for a crusade. And essentially that's kind of where this book ends up going, is Godfrey kind of goes on a very long side quest of crusades where things happen. He kind of multi-classes at some point with, you know, he's like a knight multi-classing as a paladin. It's very, very interesting. Things just kind of generally tend to work out for Godfrey, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. If I had to describe the tone of Godfrey's Crusade, I would say it's very positive, bordering on the noble bright side of things, but not quite. There's still a little bit of grim stuff going in. You know, he does take some injuries. There is some very good battles in here. That's actually something I want to touch on before we kind of move in to breaking everything down and going into everything else, is I love the way that Mark has written the battles here in Godfrey's Crusade, because it's very easy to just put a bunch of detail on the page, and instead this kind of zooms in on what's just going on with Godfrey, and then it'll like zoom out and it'll kind of do an aerial view and it'll zoom back in, and it just works for me. As a reader, I tend to struggle very hard with long, complex battles. My brain just kind of imprints the word battle happened here, and then it'll like bullet point, like person died, horse died, got thrown from horse, took mace to face, and like that's how my brain tends to just do battle. I don't know why. Like if the battle goes on too long, it's actually a negative in my book, and that doesn't happen here. And specifically, it's because I think it's only like 110k words. This is a very, very short book. And so everything is just tight, it's snappy, it moves right along. Now, earlier I mentioned that this does use Arthurian style. And essentially, if you're expecting something modern in structure and pacing and things of that nature, that is not what this is. It does take old themes and then puts a modern twist on them and polishes them up a little bit. However, like, Godfrey can be doing something and then he will just like what's that term? Deus Ex Machina will happen, which is something that happens a lot in Arthurian tales. It's just whatever you need kind of falls into your lap. And that can happen here quite a bit, but it's done in such a way that it doesn't bug me, because I already know kind of what I'm reading. We are reading kind of Godfrey's tale. And so as things go on, like, things just keep happening for Godfrey, and you just kind of get the tone of it, and it just moves along. I really, really enjoyed that. Overall, we've got some great characters here. Madeline is an interesting kind of female foil for Godfrey. We've got Walric. Walric is kind of the plucky, snarky best friend who's always got that nice one-liner, that much-needed jab to just kind of break the tension. We got Turpin. Turpin is this kind of strict disciplinarian. He's just like, hey, pull your head out of your cheeks, or pull your head out of your butt, like you're not making any sense. And, like, that's what Turpin's whole job is, to kind of keep Godfrey on task. He's like, hey, you're young, you're impetuous, you're impulsive, you don't know what you're doing. Like, listen to me, I'm old, I'm grouchy, and I've been through the wars. And, like, he's just, and I think he's like a chaplain or something like that. I love Turpin. Like, whenever Godfrey kind of starts acting up, Turpin is there to put his head back on straight. Whether Godfrey listens or not, that is entirely a different situation. But yeah, I just absolutely love a lot of what happens here within Godfrey's Crusade. And all of that being spoken, let's break it down with pacing to start. In terms of pacing, I'm going to say this moves really, really fast. For as short as this is, we cover quite a lot of ground. So pacing is probably going to be a 4 out of 5. It's very fast pacing. Structure, another 4 out of 5. Again, we've got those kind of time jumps in order to accommodate the pacing. We've also got some Deus Ex Machina and stuffs in there. So again, another 4 out of 5. Characterization. Characterization, while not the strongest, everybody still has their own voice. And a lot of times, just because of the pacing, things have to move along. So I'm going to say characterization gets a 3.75 out of 5. I'm just kind of get nitty into the nitty gritty right there. In terms of inventiveness, I actually really liked one of the things that this story does. It takes fantasy elements and sticks it in such a way that it's just nonchalant. Like, you can be walking around and it'll feel very historical fiction and knights, and then they'll just start talking about goblin raids. And it's very just a part of the world. It's not forcing the fantasy in there. It's just fantasy exists. These creatures are a part of our world. And I just like that. It felt very folklorish, like this is just the world that these people live in. So inventiveness, I'm probably going to give a 4.5 out of 5. I really, really enjoyed it. Enjoyment, 4 out of 5. There were some times where I was just like, man, I wish I would believe that Godfrey's actually in danger. And sometimes I was just kind of missing that little element. So we're going to kind of go we're going to go with that rating. Overall, I do highly recommend that you read Godfrey's Crusade. For me, this was a solid 4 out of 5 read. I really enjoyed it. It's been on the shelf for a long time, and I'm glad I finally made the time to continue. I am planning on reading Siege, which is, I believe it's Godfrey's Siege, which is the next book, within the next month or two, because I really want to see where this kind of leads to after the end of this book, because the ending of this book is explosive, it's good, it's fun. Overall, I give this book a 4 out of 5 and a very high recommend. Please check out Godfrey's Crusade by Mark Howard. Gorgeous book, very fun tale, and it's a quick read. That's all you should really need to know. So as always, guys, till next time, peace out, stay magical. And as always, I want to give a huge thank you to my patrons.